Alrighty, today we are talking about solving proportions in the Big Ideas book. This is section 5.4. These are your notes. All right. So we are going to start with an easier one, ones that we have done often. When you look at this, we know 10 times what gives us 40? Well, we know that's times 4. So whatever we do to the bottom, we can also do to the top, which means 3 times 4 gives us our A value. So our A value is 12. Okay, so this is solving the proportion, and we're able to find the number that A should be. We have already looked at proportions where we are trying to decide if they are equal or not. This is using the same concept just to find the answer that is missing, the variable that's missing. All right. On this one, we could do the same thing. I know 11 times what gives me 77? Well, that would be 11 times 7. So when we do the same thing to the top, 6 times 7 will give us our C value. And our C value equals 42. And that came from the 6 times the 7. Now, if you look at the next one, that doesn't really work very nicely. Okay? So the other method we can use is, many of you have used this before, the butterfly method. Here in Florida, we are calling it the butterfly palm tree. So what we can do is we're going to take this product. So we're going to take the 5.4 times the H value, and that's going to equal the other side, which is 7 times 27. We are going to go ahead and solve that. So we get 5.4H equals, we're just multiplying this, you should get 189. Now, I want to solve for my H. I need to get the 5.4 on the other side, the 5 4/10. To do this, this is a multiplication because it's a coefficient and a variable. So we're going to do the opposite. We're going to divide both sides by that 5.4. We're able to scratch those out because 5.4 divided by 5.4 is 1, which is the identity. And we get H equals. Now we're going to need to do this division. Many of you are doing that with your calculators. If not, we're going to take the 189 divided by the 5.4. Now, we need that to move that decimal, so we have that come to Jesus moment. But if we've moved this one time, or multiplied by 10, we're also moving this one time, and we're going to add in a 0. Our decimal is down at the end, so we're going to have great faith and bring it up. 54 doesn't go into 1, doesn't go into 18, but it will go into 189. I know 5 times 3 is 15, so that looks like a good place to start. So I'm going to take 54 times 3. 4 times 3 is 12. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 1 is 16, and that will go. So I'm going to put my 3 right over the 9. That is 162, and I'm going to subtract. I get 27, which is less than 54. So we're going to bring down the 0 next. Again, I know 5 times 5 is 25, so that looks pretty close. So I'm going to take 54 times 5. 5 times 4 is 20. 5 times 5 is 25, plus 2 is 27. And that works exactly. So we're going to put that 5 up there. So our H equals 35. When our H is 35, these two proportions are equal. All right, this is also one because I can't really multiply this to get that. So I'm going to take K times the 16, or 16K, and 6 times 8. Right. I would suggest you push pause and work this out and then come back and check. Alrighty, so once you have an answer, you should have 16K equals 48. we're going to divide both sides by that 16 so that our K is left alone. And then 48 divided by 16 is 3. And those two are now proportional. Now, we can also do this with measurements. We did this in 6th grade. It is a 5th and 6th grade standard. And we used what I called was the tic-tac-toe board. So I'm going to show you that again because I believe it's a little bit easier that way. So if we start with 42 inches and we want to go to centimeters, we're going to need the inches on the bottom so that they are going to cancel out. All right, you can look this up, but 1 inch equals about 2.54 centimeters. These two numbers are next to each other, so we are going to multiply. Make sure you put the one with the bigger digits on top. So I'm going to put 2.54 times the 42, so 2 and 54 hundredths. This is a decimal multiplication, so we're going to use the wall. 4 times 2 is 8. 5 times 2 is 10. 2 times 2 is 4 plus 1, which is 5. All right, the 2 is done, so we have the face that smiles back. And now we're going to multiply by 4. So 4 times 4 is 16, carrier 1. 4 times 5 is 20, plus 1 is 21. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 plus 2 is 10. So when we do that, we get this number. We know there are 2 decimal spots here. So we're going to have 2 in our answer, which goes right there. So that means this is how many centimeters when we start with 42 inches. Now, you could also set this up as a proportion. I prefer this way, but if you'd like to, you can take 42 inches equals so many centimeters, we'll call it X centimeters. And then I know that 1 inch equals 2.54 centimeters. And again, I can solve this by using our butterfly palm tree, and I will get the same answer. Right? So the next one, 12.6 kilograms is where I'm starting. I know I want to get to pounds, and I want to get rid of the kilograms. When you look this up, 1 pound equals a very long number. So I'm going to cut it down to 0.45. I actually used the larger one when I figured this, but it actually equals that. Now, this says 1 in the numerator and 1 in the denominator, so we would be dividing these numbers. So 12.6, 12 and 6/10 divided by 0.45, 45 hundredths. It'll give you an answer. I'm going to work it out the other way this time, though. So I'm going to start with my 12.6 kilograms per so many pounds. And that's going to equal, we're going to use that 0.45 kilograms per 1 pound. Okay, when I do my butterfly, I get 12.6 equals, and I'm going to go this way too, 0.45x. I'm going to divide both sides by that 45 hundredths. And you will find your x. Okay, so we are going to take the 12.6 divided by the 45 hundredths. And when you do that, you will get x equals 28. Okay, which is, we were solving for pounds. So also if you did it this way, you would also get 28 pounds. Alrighty. And that is topic 5.4, how to solve proportions. This is the easier way if you're able to do it. Sometimes you're going to have to do the butterfly palm tree and actually solve.